I don't know the story. I'm just noticing. I don't know the story about the cat.
Hello and welcome to My Tiny Bottles, the project where I'm exploring my grandmother's legacy of miniature liquor bottles, one tiny bottle at a time. I'm here at Amor y Amargo again with Sother Teague. Sother, thank you so much for hosting us again.
Can you do it?
And tell the people about yourself.
Well, I'm Sother Teague. I'm the owner of Amor y Amargo here in the East Village of New York City, an all bitters bar. I'm the co-host of the Speakeasy Podcast on Heritage Radio Network, author of I'm Just Here for the Foods and a bunch of other junk too, I'm sure, but that's enough about me.
So the last time you appeared on the project, we were tasting De Kuiper Bluesberry Schnapps.
I recall.
You don't remember it well, but you do remember it.
I remember it. Yes. It was an experience. So yeah, I recall.
It absolutely was. So this time I have brought you something that at least is Amaro adjacent.
Yeah, you actually kind of let me sort of choose a little bit this time. Last time it was sort of a random drawing.
I believe last time you said, give me whatever you want. So yeah. So what do you know about Dubonnet?
It's a fortified wine. It kind of falls into the category of sort of, vermouth, aperitif, etc. It's great for mixing up cocktails with. We've used it many times in the past here at the bar.
So invented as a quinquina, in that period when the French, they didn't have gin and tonic, so they were putting quinine into wine to keep the French legionnaires from dying of malaria. So this bottle is from pre-1976 because Pernod Ricard bought the brand in 76, and this is before that. You will notice something very interesting about this, what would normally be a red wine.
Yeah, it looks like water.
Yeah, it's pretty darn clear. It's not quite as clear as the bottle of late bottle vintage port I have that has absolutely no color in it, but all the color is down here.
Sure. So you gently brought this from Boston without shaking it up?
Nope, it's
carry it the whole time?
Just really stuck down there,
Okay.
right? Like if we shook it vigorously, we might get little floaty bits, but I just think it's like a little plug on the bottom.
We're about to find out.
So my thinking on this, and we can go a different direction if you think, but so I have a bottle of French Dubonnet. So as I talk about in the episode for this, round about World War II, French Dubonnet and American Dubonnet diverged. So Dubonnet is very popular in the US in the early part of the 1900s. But then, the Nazis take over France. There's U-boats in the Atlantic. Like you can't get these exported products. So they start making something called Dubonnet in the US. And it's unclear, did they have the recipe? Were they just making it up? But the two products diverge after that and they never come back together.
My dad told me when I was young, whatever they're talking about, they're lying, and whatever they're lying about, it's money. So I'm certain that there was money involved in this divergence.
Right. Somebody paid somebody to keep it. So this is a modern French bottling. And this is a modern American bottling. So they Heaven Hill makes it now, and they sort of reformulated the brand in 2018. Because it should have been way more popular than it was in the early days of the cocktail renaissance. But pre-2018, it wasn't very good. So I think that we should taste the new French one as kind of a benchmark on the French Dubonnet style.
Sure.
So that we have something to compare the old one to.
Because this one didn't exist.
Right. And then we can taste the American one and see how it compares to the French one.
Sounds great. And you also know that the Queen of England, till she died, she drank a Dubonnet cocktail every single day.
She did. She probably got the idea from her mother, who there's an actual note to her butler that says, please bring a bottle of gin and Dubonnet along today because I might need some.
I might need some.
While we're out and about.
Yeah.
In case it is needful. It's very adorable. All right.
Well, you want me to crack this guy open?
Yep.
Is it open
I took
yet?
the foil off. It's not yet been open. Thank you to Evan, a.k.a. Digging My Graves on Instagram, who furnished me with this bottle of French Dubonnet from his collection when he was moving it across the country.
Right. Juicy. It's wine, of course.
Definitely get almost more of a grape aroma than I think of with a vermouth or something.
Rich on the palate, very fruit forward, almost port-like, as you mentioned, with hints of bitterness in the background. Honestly, pour this over ice, and this is a great aperitif.
Oh yeah, which is what it's designed for, right? It's 14.8% now. Used to be higher. It used to be 18 or 19%, which is what the older one is.
I don't know the story. I'm just noticing. I don't know the story about the cat. There's a cat on all three of these labels.
Yes. So it was his wife's cat. The guy who created it's wife's cat. So yeah, and it was totally a thing in the early marketing of the product. It was all about the cat. It's always all about the cat.
Cat memes are still going strong.
Right. We think cat pictures are modern, but
yeah, as long as we've been able to capture an image of a cat, they've been going strong. It's delicious. I love this stuff.
Right. It's fruity. It's easy to drink. Definitely throw it over ice.
Now,
less bitter to me. So it's supposed to be a quinquina, right? So it should have quinine in it. Doesn't taste very bitter at all.
No. Again, quite juicy, softly sweet, very fruity. I mean, it's not candy-like by any means, but it doesn't. It's not as bitter as a typical vermouth. But I would point out that vermouths, for a long, long time, experts up to and including myself, thought that EU law dictated that vermouth was required to have wormwood in it.
Is that not true?
Yeah, no. Vermouth. The root word is vermut, which means wormwood.
Yeah.
And that was thought for a long time until along comes a guy named Adam Ford who wrote a book about vermouth. Adam Ford also happens to be a lawyer. So he did his due diligence and dug all over the place and could find no such evidence. What it turns out is that vermouth makers of the time were powerful enough to basically form their own sort of strong-arming lobby. Sure. And they went around to other people who were making aromatized fortified wines and not using vermouth or wormwood. And said, you can't call it vermouth. You have to call it by the bittering agent. So that's why we have quinquinas and gentians and all the other ones. They're all pretty much vermouth, except these dudes were like, you can't say that.
Oh, that's funny. I teach class about fortified aromatized wines, right? And, and I teach them as a group because they are also similar and often interchangeable, right? You could make a Manhattan with this.
Of course, a delicious one.
All right.
Especially now that Heaven Hill makes this, they would encourage you to make a Manhattan with, their whiskey. You want me to crack this guy?
Yes. You have better. I'm giving up on these tiny bottles.
Shocked at how
isn't it
clear it
crazy?
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Kind of cracked off. And then there was, all right, well, let's go.
It's very full. So they knew how to make good seals.
I mean, right out of the bottle, it's got a quite oxidized aroma.
Oxidized for sure.
And then, let's just look at this color difference. Amazing. It's still kind of, I'm colorblind, but that ain't as red as the other one.
No, it's not as red as the other, but not as clear as it maybe looked in the bottle.
Yeah.
A little bit kind of like a rum.
Yeah, sort of tawny-ish, I guess.
Well, this part's not chunky, at least.
Not nearly as dark.
Oxidized sherry kind of notes.
Yeah, super sherry. Nutty. I get lots of the skins of hazelnuts.
Oh, that's very precise.
I gotta do this for a living.
No, I get it. Now I'm trying to create a scent memory of skins of hazelnuts.
Ooh.
I like the smell. I love sherry. I'm a huge sherry fan. So.
Wow. Oh my gosh. It's like everything's dropped out of here but sweetness. This is like candy. This tastes like it's kind of giving amaretto vibes.
Little, because of the nuttiness from the sherry. A little drying on the palate.
And then there's a kind of a little bit drying, and then there's a very late, just slight tart, citric acid tartness on the end.
Definitely nothing bitter about that either.
Super nutty. This went from grapes to nuts. It's grape nuts.
To nuts. It's not bad.
No, it reads much like a port. So it went from, a thing we described as kind of port-like to very port-like.
But I get what you're saying about the sweet up front, but I actually feel like it's drier than when I go back to the modern one.
Let's try.
Definitely more viscosity in the modern one.
I mean, this is, I'll already say before we even get to the other one that I know, this beats the pants off of the blues or whatever.
Oh, yeah. No, this is
that experience was whatever. Yeah, this is, I think I'm on record numerous times, and, not to go against your whole project here, but I'm on record numerous times as saying, like, generally speaking, when we delve into the Amaro world or the fortified wines world, when they're vintage, they're not good anymore. They've changed for the worse.
Right. And you'd said that before, and that made me worry about this. I was like, because it is kind of Amaro adjacent, but.
I will say unequivocally, obviously, this one has changed tremendously. But if you poured this for me and told me it was just a whole different product, I'd be like, this is a decent product that's on the shelf.
I think it's totally delicious.
Yeah, totally delicious. Well, okay, that's a jump.
I would definitely go delicious on this one. But as I say, I like sherry.
If you poured me a little, a cordial glass of this after a meal with some, I don't know, tiramisu, this would be pretty pleasant.
All right.
Certainly not what the maker intended, but,
All right.
Happy little accidents, Bob Ross.
So, you got a glass?
I have all my fancy glasses. This is the modern day stuff, which has the most similar looking cat, right? That cat and that cat look mostly the same.
Oh, that's interesting. Let me see the
that
cat.
Cat is like a very, very French.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is clearly like a modern rebranding, right? This is trying to look oldie, and this is trying to look modern.
Yeah, because in fact, that cat is behind the bottle that has the bottle with the bottle on it.
Right.
It's exactly mirroring in, or whatever you call that. All right. This one smells more back to what we had before. It's even darker though.
Yeah. And I know the grapes are different between the American and the French versions, and they smell different. Do you need more of either of these for comparison? All right.
Yeah, it's
almost got a little Concord grape.
Yeah, big.
Just a little hint
purpley grape. This one's has much more of those bitter qualities, though.
Because they're kind of marketing it to the way we use these products now, right? Rather than as something to put in a glass and drink over ice.
Yeah, and quite dry. Like it dries my palate out almost immediately. Yeah, quick sip and then dry.
Yes, right. Definitely like almost a tannin kind of dryness then, but definitely like a Concord grape kind of thing. I know they've got currants in here. Mm-hmm. I think is one of their botanicals. Tea. I know they're putting tea in here.
Yeah, that's where you're getting all that tannic. It's definitely tea-like as well. It's delicious. I'm a big fan. Again, we've used this one on the menu many times here. And it's a great thing for the Heaven Hill portfolio to have, alongside all their whiskeys and stuff.
It's definitely so much more powerful than the current French one.
Can we see? I know these bottles are so tiny.
Proof, 18 and
18?
a half. This is 19.
So we stayed similar in proof.
And then this is 14. So this went down. I don't know if American Dubonnet ever went down in proof. This has gradually gone down through the years. Started off around here and then went down to this current 14.8 or something.
Well, I would say if we had to line them up, I would have this for breakfast.
Okay.
This for lunch and this for dinner.
Okay.
Right.
And I think like the one I'd have before dinner over ice is the
for sure.
French one.
Or even long with some seltzer.
Right. That's my aperitif. Mm-hmm. This one I would have mixed into a Manhattan, right? Because I want to mix with this. I don't like it as much just for sipping on its own, but I think I'd like it, mixed into a cocktail.
Well, I quite enjoy it. This is the one I would drink in a wine glass.
The American one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then this guy, of course, we're never going to have it again. It's only this much left. But as mentioned before, I think this would be great with, paired with some rich dessert.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like a cheese course or a sort of a caramely.
Or like a savory Basque cheesecake.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Right. It really does feel very Spanish to me with the sherry notes with those that character. Well, that was a delightful surprise. I was worried this might have actually gone bad at 18% for 50 years.
I mean, in your travels doing this so far, I don't know how many you've tasted, but have you ever had anything that was bad?
Had spoiled?
Nothing's gone bad. Everything's just changed.
Yeah. I mean, the ones that have spoiled are the cream liqueurs and the egg liqueur.
Oh.
And those, usually are solid or
like an avocado.
I have a Italian egg liquor.
Oh yeah, like Zabayon.
Disgusting. Morovo is like a knockoff, but yeah, they just look disgusting. So those I'm not even daring to open. I know they're bad. But this was the one maybe I was most worried about. Well, this gives me hope for my port because I have a port.
Oh yeah,
late bottle vintage port, so 1982. LBV port that is clear.
Yeah.
And I have a lot more hope for how it's going to taste now that I've tasted this other wine-based.
This one dried out quite a bit to this. I bet that has dried out from a LBV to basically a Fino.
Interesting.
It just became a Fino on its own. Well, thanks so much for letting me hang on for this one.
Yeah, thank you for taking this journey with me. This was fun. I love this when I can line up. I'm always about compare and contrast, so I love being able to line up three things. Well, thank you again. You can find me at mytinybottles.com, at mytinybottles on social media. Please like, subscribe, follow, leave lots of comments. Tell us what you think. Do you have a Dubonnet cocktail we should mix up? I have a lot of 2 different bottles of Dubonnet to go through now, so I would love your recipes. Sother, where can people find you?
Social media. I'm Creative Drunk on all platforms, plus my podcast, The Speakeasy, has its own Instagram, The Speakeasy Podcast. I highly recommend you tune into that. That's it.
Cheers.